The 2016 salary cap jumped a record $24 million in 1 year. So the NBA said, okay, let's work this money in slowly. Players said, screw that, we want it now. So they agreed. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Well, it led to horrible contracts and the Warriors getting Kevin Durant after a 73-win season. The West was basically not competitive. So to stop that from happening again, the NBA made two huge changes. One of them is to smooth in the money this time. The other is the new CBA. And I've heard people say, what's it gonna do? How's the CBA gonna change the NBA? Well, we are seeing it now, and it's not good. If you are a fan of the Warriors, they're getting slammed. Even the Nuggets took a big hit that hurts Nikola Jokic. We are finally seeing these new rules are going to change the NBA forever. I used to move around a lot for work, and I always had to reestablish with a good therapist. Wherever I went, I would bounce around until I found the right person, because to me, therapy has been a fantastic tool in my life. Well, BetterHelp is the sponsor of today's video, and I wish that they were available to me back then, because they connect you with a licensed therapist who's trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. I have heard other people's experience with BetterHelp, so I wanted to try it myself. I did, and I had a great experience. Personally, the cool thing about online is you can easily switch around until you find the right therapist for you, which is very common, by the way. Used to happen to me all the time, but online, a lot less awkward. So go to their site. You can use my link. It's betterhelp.com/amhoops. You answer a few questions. BetterHelp will match you with a professional who's got years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you with a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/amhoops or choose AM Hoops during sign up, and you enjoy a special discount on your first month. The old CBA said, if you're too expensive, there will be financial penalties, but super rich owners were like, who cares? I'll pay whatever. Let's win a chip. So the new CBA says it'll hurt you financially and on the basketball court. It creates a second apron. This is a helpful guide from The Ringer. If you spend over the salary cap to the first apron, no sign and trades, no trade exceptions, like Dante DiVincenzo last year to the Knicks. Trades are tough. But second apron teams get all that, plus you can't combine players in a trade, which is how you get stars, by the way. No buyout players like Kyle Lowry last year. Can't trade all your picks, and if you're in the second apron twice, your pick gets bumped all the way to the back of the first round. Oh, I don't care if you sucked and got the number one pick. That thing goes to 30. So to sum it all up, second apron teams are stuck with their roster. No changes. Like the Suns last year, oh man, they needed size and shooting and a point guard. The owner would have loved to pay all that. Have you heard this guy? But under the new CBA, nope. So they got embarrassed in the first round for being too expensive. So teams are so afraid of that happening to them, they are letting good players go to cut costs. For example, the Nuggets built their team with the old rules. They've got 3 players on a max contract: Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. Whoops! Because they gave MPJ a max, they couldn't re-sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So they had to let KCP go, one of the best role players in the league, replacing him with Christian Brown. That really hurts Nikola Jokic. So giving out bad contracts now is a death sentence. It's why we hear rumors about trades for guys on the max like Trae Young or Karl Anthony Towns, or why literally no one will take Zach LaVine. Another example is the Knicks. They brought in Mikal Bridges and paid OG Anunoby. Whoops, too expensive. Had to let go of Isaiah Hartenstein, a really good player. Then we have Paul George. The Clippers refused to give PG more than what Kawhi was making, less than the max. Is it because they don't respect Paul George? No, they're afraid of being too expensive. It's why legendary Warrior Klay Thompson actually broke up the Splash Brothers. It also explains the weirdest moment on draft night. The Spurs picked Rob Dillingham, number 8, then traded him to the Timberwolves. Minnesota sent control of 2 first-round picks, which is crazy because they barely have any picks to begin with. Why were they so desperate? I mean, you never see a conference finals team trade into the lottery. What happened? Well, because the Wolves are so expensive, they virtually can't re-sign their own free agents. Kyle Anderson, Monte Morris, Jordan McLaughlin. So this trade was one of the only things they could do to tweak their roster. They need a point guard. Dillingham is young, which means cheap. It's the future of the NBA. Teams are gonna pay their core, then constantly trade role players like OKC. They're gonna pay Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and J-Dub. But every 4 years, they're gonna dump good role players for cheaper ones. So talent is gonna get spread around the league. The NBA's been trying to do this for years. In 1984, they made the salary cap. In 1999, the luxury tax. They made it harsher in 2011, but nothing worked. Since 1990, there have been 11 repeat champs in the NBA. That's as many as the NFL, NHL, and MLB combined. We just have more dynasties in basketball. Why? Because hoops is so dependent on stars. Think about the NFL and MLB. Outside of quarterback, no one player matters that much. I mean, this dude, Mike Trout, is an all-time baseball player, has made the playoffs one time. So the NBA wants to kill the dynasty once and for all. But is that a good thing? I mean, you might think, yeah, this is great. Every team's got a chance to win. But what do the numbers actually say? Well, the NBA had horrible TV ratings in the 70s. That's why people say that Magic and Bird saved the league with 2 dynasties. Then Michael Jordan took it to a whole other level of popularity when the Bulls dynasty happened in the 90s. That dip right there is when MJ retired to baseball. Ratings have never fully recovered since Mike left, but lately it's hit a new low like the 70s. Can you believe Celtics Mavs only got a 5.8 rating? That is the 3rd least watched finals of all time. The other 2, Bucks Suns in 2021, Lakers Heat in the bubble. What's going on? Parity! The 70s was the only decade without a dynasty, and now we're seeing it again, and it's not good. People say they want parity, but they actually watch domination. Like, people used to complain, oh, Warriors LeBron again in the finals every year, but twice as many people watch those finals than Celtics Mavs, or the Nuggets Heat, or Bucks Suns, whatever. The new CBA ensures that as soon as we really get to know a team year after year, they're gonna get broken up to avoid the second apron. So if this thing is so feared around the league, who's getting burned next season by the first and second apron? Well, the NBA set the new salary cap at $140 million. The luxury tax, $171, first apron, $178, and second apron, $189 million. Who's actually that expensive? Well, some teams you'd think would be, and some you might not. First apron teams, the Lakers, depending on what happens with LeBron, and the Miami Heat for sure. But second apron teams, the Celtics, Mavericks, Bucks, Timberwolves, and Suns, according to Spotrac. And remember what that means. No changes to your roster. Not terrible if you're the Wolves, Celtics, and Mavericks, but awful for the Bucks and Suns. That's why we're seeing teams trade guys just to avoid this. It's why Atlanta dumped DeJounte Murray for cheap, why Denver let KCP go, and why the Clippers moved on from Paul George. But that is not close to the only thing that happened on draft night. I think it was the weirdest draft of all time. Reed Shepherd, the first white American guy taken first off the board in 47 years. But that's just where the weirdness started. What about all these French kids? What explains that? But everyone is talking about Bronny James. Is it unfair that LeBron got his son drafted? Or did the Lakers actually have a good reason?